athletes have secured their spot in the 2018 World's Strongest Man Final. Now, Group 3 begins their journey, vying for their place on the biggest stage in strength athletics. Returning, Lithuania's Zadrunas Zaviskis. Will this finally be the year he can claim his 5th championship? One that has eluded him since his last win in 2014. Or will his success be dampened by the return of American Robert Oberst? Or Great Britain's Graham Hicks? The continuation of the Tachi Palace World's Strongest Man qualifiers begins now. We are back in the capital city of the Philippines, Manila, where our next group of competitors will take on the qualifying round here at Rizal Park. Brent Stover alongside Aaron Taylor and Jenny Dill.
That's right, Brent. The 6 athletes of Group 3 will take on their first challenge, and it's a tough one, the load and carry. Brent, here the athletes will have 75 seconds to carry 2 330-pound sacks to a platform 12 meters away. But that's when the fun starts, because the weight doubles and they'll do a farmer's walk with a 660-pound apparatus.
3 of the 6 athletes of Group 3 make their way to the start line now. A look into those athletes in our Tachi Palace Power Profiles.
Dennis Kohlroos, Germany. My head is always switched on. I don't turn it off. There's a little bit fear, really. I'm scared this fear will, I don't know the English word. No, I know, paralyze me. Because you have those big names. It's a new experience, and I think I have to learn that you give your full power even beside those titans. So I want to show them you can walk among titans. And maybe one day you can beat one.
Luke Stoltman, Great Britain. Feeling good, a little bit stronger than last year, I think, but so is everyone else here. So I've just got to do me and then let everyone else do them. This year's quite nice for me to have my wife, Kushi, finally out here. Mentally and physically, she's a big supporter for me. Strong men are like big babies sometimes, you know, that just might give you that little bit extra. I don't know. We'll soon see.
Robert Oberst, United States. I took about a year off, had the injury. I thought my career was over, and I was like, yes, I'm gonna be a stripper for the rest of my life. Botswana 2016. After the load and carry, I was in the medical tent, and I was up for the Hercules hold. In my head, I was just like, I'm gonna do this. It may sound cheesy, but I was gonna baptize myself with the pain of the event. I wanted to just feel that moment. As soon as they let go of the spotter arms holding up the pillars, my mind just went blank. It was so painful, it was so immersing that I didn't have room for anything else in my head. Probably wasn't the smartest thing, but really none of this is smart. I think doing that is the reason why I'm here today.
Robert Oberst, one of those charismatic guys. I know you like him a lot, Aaron. And after the 2016 World's Strongest Man final, he left early with a torn left bicep. Be fun to see what kind of a comeback he can make.
Yeah, and he's using a little bit of a different carry technique up on the shoulder there, but he's excited to be back and feeling healthy.
Luke Stolman of Great Britain, Dennis Kohlroos of Germany in that far lane. Stoltman looking very strong in the middle.
He told us he was feeling strong coming in here, but it's been this farmer's walk apparatus that has really been the key differentiator, but Stoltman's looking solid.
It's all about the grip, obviously, and as we say that, it slips out of his hands. And now Oberst with an opportunity to take Heat 1. And Oberst does it because of the slip-up of Stoltman. Big move there for Big OB.
Certainly was able to maintain his focus and composure, as we see Dennis Kohlroos really struggling even to pick up the apparatus.
For Kohlroos, it's his first time at World's Strongest Man, and he taps out.
That's how it's done.
So Big OB takes advantage and says, that's how it's done. 41-55, he wins Heat 1 of the load and carry.
This was interesting, Brent, because Stoltman looked to be in command the entire time until that grip strength on his left hand gave out. But again, it was that focus and determination of Big OB that allowed him to cross the finish line first.
And with that, we take a look at the next three athletes getting ready for the load and carry in our Tachi Palace Power Profiles.
Žydrūnas Savickas, Lithuania. Strongman is my life. It will be 14th world strongest man for me. It's good to see how it's growing every year. Sure, all strongmen are crazy. Me also, because to lift heavy stuff, it's not normal, I think.
Graham Hicks, Great Britain. My group's quite tough across the board. A lot of big guys in my heat, and I get a kick out of beat them on stuff because naturally they're a bigger freak than I am. There's obviously a great satisfaction out of taking points from them. In the grand scheme of things, I'm very happy to be here. You know, I had 2 years out with an injury. Coming back, I actually feel like I'm only just getting going again. I'm not putting any pressure on myself. The best men will go through. Hopefully I'm one of them. If I'm not, I'll still be smiling.
Benzel, United States. It's nice to get invited back based on how I'd done last year. After having the greatest day of my strongman career, I tied for a win on a squat. I won the Fingal fingers. I was on my way to winning my group and being into the finals. Tore my bicep and had to leave the contest early. To be that close and then have everything just ripped out from underneath me and have to go home early, it was way harder mentally to get past than physically. End of the day, I'm here to compete, and I know I can compete with anyone here. I'm ready to step up and jump in.
It was that torn right bicep. Certainly, this is the redemption tour for Brian Benzer.
He proved to a lot of people, including himself, that he had what it took to compete on the main stage prior to that injury. As we see Big Z, the first one to pick up that 330-pound sack and load it up onto the platform.
Big Z, the four-time World's Strongest Man champion, out of the gates really well here. Benzel not far behind.
Big Z known for his brute power and athleticism, but it's been the things when he's on the move that have given him trouble a little bit long in his transition here. That might open the door for Benzel, and it does.
Two-man race, final stretch. The edge in the middle for Benzel. Benzel and Big Z. Benzel crosses, and he wins the heat and wins the group. And in Heat 2, Big Z comes across second. And Graham Hicks struggling up there in the far lane.
Brent, I love what he had to say about the other strongmen being bigger freaks than he is, that the best man will go through, and he wasn't feeling any pressure, but he certainly felt the pressure of that 660-pound apparatus.
So Benzel, off to a good start, wins the load and carry in 38.69, so he's proving he's ready for the fight this year. Oberst came in second.
And Brent, how about Big Z in third place? The four-time champ is chasing history, trying to get that elusive fifth title. He's got some work ahead of him.
The Philippines' Samal Island, one of this proud nation's top travel destinations, sparkling with pristine beaches and remarkable marine reefs. Brent Stover alongside Aaron Taylor here at Pearl Farm Beach Resort in the province of Davao del Norte. The Philippines has absolutely rolled out the red carpet for this year's version of the world's premier strongman event. In moments, we're going to see the next qualifying group take the stage with two Americans included.
Yeah, we're talking about Brian Benzel and Robert Oberst. Now, Benzel, at 6'2", isn't considered a giant in the world of strongman, but he brings impressive power and the heart of a lion to the table. Oberst, on the other hand, is a beast at 6'7" and has sneaky athleticism that does its job. But a tough qualifying group for our two U.S. hopefuls. They'll have to contend with the four-time champion and, to many, the strongest man to ever live, Žydrūnas Savickas of Lithuania.
Group 3's journey to the final continues when the Tachi Palace World's Strongest Man returns.
The 2018 Tachi Palace World's Strongest Man on CBS Sports is sponsored by Tachi Palace Hotel and Casino in Lemoore, California. And by Rogue, leading provider of American-made strength and conditioning equipment.
Welcome back to Coconut Palace in Manila for Group 3's second event, the Kettlebell Toss.
Our strongmen are asked to swing and fling these weights backward over their heads and over a high bar that stands 15 foot 6 inches.
The kettlebell toss is different than most of what we do. Most of the things we do, we've got to be really tight and compact. The kettlebell, you've got to explode and you got to be loose. If you tighten up too much, it ends up being a short throw.
Benzel. As soon as you get the first one and it's good, then you want to just replicate that movement each time. It's not so much about power, it's more about finesse. Just gliding it over and no more.
That's why the guys who have more of an athletic background rather than powerlifting, they tend to do better in that.
And it's also like the transition period between throwing them and then kind of getting the next one.
60 seconds goes really fast when you're going that far between kettlebell to toss.
Next, Luke.
Z.
Good luck, Z.
I don't want to beat someone that's not at their best.
I don't really care if they're their best, I just care if I win.
If I'm beating someone 100% and competing to their best, I know I'm the best man in the day.
Oh, Hicks!
If anyone was to beat me, it would be Hicksy. We're battling against each other, but we've got a great friendship, a great bond, and it's like competing with my brother all over again.
Let's go. After I missed that first one, I calmed myself down. I had to stay right there in that moment. I couldn't be quick anymore because I needed everyone to go over.
Oberst's a good guy, a big daft guy like myself.
Luke and I, we talk outside of this and we have fun and everything, but when he goes out there, I don't want him to beat me. That's just the name of the game. I didn't come here to lose. I didn't come here to make friends. I came here to win.
Come on, Luke, let's go.
We had some bad news a couple of days ago. You know, my granny, unfortunately, she passed away. My granny and my mum looking down at me now, and you know, it's a blessing for me to have them up there watching over me.
Get up, get up!
Having Kush across here is nice.
You got this!
It's been a rough couple of years for us, so having someone like Kush, you know, to look after me and cuddle me and tell me things are going okay, it's heartwarming, it's touching.
The winner of Group 3 in the Kettlebell Toss, from Great Britain, Luke Stolman.
Never in doubt. Some of you can take to the grave.
Kettlebell toss results. Luke Stolman wins the event, 6 kettlebells in 44.14. Oberst places second in the group. Graham Hicks of Great Britain coming in third place. So that puts Robert Oberst on top with 10 points. Just 1 point behind him. Luke Stolman is in second, jumping up 2 spots after winning the kettlebell toss. Brian Benzel of the U.S. with 8 points is in third as we check in with Jenny Dell.
Coming up next, we put a spin on one of the most original events of the world's strongest man, the squat lift. These strong men will put a bar high up on their back containing 595 pounds of weight, then simply squat down and get back up. But after each successful squat, a weighted barrel will be added on. Group 3, the squat lift, after the break.
Welcome back to the Coconut Palace, where these 6 athletes will take on their third event of the qualifiers and one of the most grueling events in the competition, the squat lift.
Yeah, there's no time limit on this one, Brent, but the athletes will be asked to get 7 reps, lifting weights ranging from 595 to 795 pounds. That's a total of 4,865 pounds, and maybe nobody better on this planet than Big Z at this event.
Generally, he makes it look easy. The 7th rep, by the way, is timed, and it's the potential tiebreaker.
Brent, one of the things to keep your eye on is where the barrels fall into the apparatus. The further back they are, the closer to the fulcrum they are, and the easier or lighter it is for the athletes to lift. Because they come down randomly, the more they fall forward, the harder it becomes. But it doesn't matter where they land with Big Z. He's repping these out pretty strong.
Big Z weighs in at 397. He's one of the heaviest guys in the competition, certainly an advantage. And now on to the 7th and final barrel. And that, Aaron, is the mark to beat. 7 reps in 33.10.
Time champion, Zydrunas Zaviskas.
Brent, just an incredible effort by Big Z. What I love about him, take a look at this incredible depth and flexibility through the entire range of motion, just showing you why he's amongst the greatest strongmen of all time.
So now it's Brian Benzel of the United States from Omaha, Nebraska. He is in third place after 2 events.
Squat.
Brent, one of the things I'm noticing right out of the gate with Benzel is the narrow base that he's using. Big Z had a little bit more of a wide base with his toes externally rotated. Benzel feels he's most powerful when he's in here tight.
And now he's up with the 4th barrel. On to the 5th of 7. And you can see he's starting to shake a little bit at this point, but still able to pretty fluidly get it done.
Yeah, that barrel fell forward there on him a little bit, but he's able to rep it out. He's bouncing the weight off the ground, which forces his body to stabilize it as he takes a big breath trying to get that last rep, and he does.
Outstanding from the American, Brian Benzel gets all 7 in 40.27 seconds.
Well, after last year's competition where Benzel got hurt, he's making a heck of a comeback here. Great effort.
With 4 athletes remaining in the squat lift, can Zambia maintain his top spot in the event? Or will the leader in the overall standings, Robert Oberst, overtake him and keep his advantage? The conclusion of Event 3 when we return to the Tachi Palace World's Strongest Man, presented by Rogue.
World's Strongest Man on CBS Sports is sponsored by Tachi Palace Hotel and Casino in Lemoore, California.
Welcome back to the Tachi Palace World's Strongest Man, presented by Rogue, the Philippines, where the final 3 competitors of Group 3 will continue to test their strength in the 3rd event of the qualifiers, the squat lift. Zambia leads the group with 7 reps in 33.10. Benzel close behind, also completing 7 in 40.27. 3 athletes remain, beginning with Graham Hicks of Great Britain.
At 5'10", Hicks has an advantage because of his shorter legs. He's also pretty powerful as he attacks these first couple reps. Now he's bouncing it off the ground, which can be a double-edged sword because it helps you get the momentum heading in the right direction, but you're also forced to stabilize it as you see his hips wobble a little bit there.
So you're saying this is a short man's event?
It can certainly be an advantage as we see the barrel fall towards the back of the apparatus, but Hicks is looking really strong.
Really strong through 6. 1 more to go. 33.10 is the time to beat. There's his 7th rep. And Graham Hicks goes into first.
Ladies and gentlemen, Graham Hicks.
That was impressive, Aaron.
It certainly was. You hear him say easy right there at the end. He really attacked this, his body vibrating under the immense weight. He told us, it's time that I started believing that I am one of the names in this event, and I think his performance here certainly verifies that.
So now it's Robert Oberst, the American. He stands at 6'7". So again, you talk about the height being an advantage or a disadvantage. We'll see if this hurts big OB right here.
Typically, this event hasn't been one of OB's stronger suits. You see he's got that wider base there. Can already tell he's starting to struggle a little bit. See how his body vibrates at the bottom when he's bouncing it off? That's not a good sign for big OB here.
You see the rain is falling steadily. You wonder if that affects the grip at all.
No, that weight is loaded up on his shoulders. That's the least of his problems that it's raining as we see him bottom out after 5 reps.
I was trying to help him out a little bit there, big fella, but 5 reps and he goes into 4th place.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Robert Oberst.
Well, you got to give credit to Robert, man. He just attacks this weight and gave it everything he had through the 5 reps, but you see how he struggles there to get it up off the ground. He looked good early, but just petered out towards the end.
Now here's a guy, you know, that is really starting to grow on me from Great Britain, Luke Stolman, 6'2", 342, 33 years of age. He's in 2nd place coming into this event.
And one of the favorites here because of his lighthearted attitude. Really seems to just enjoy this sport regardless of the results.
He builds oil rigs around the world. You got to imagine that even when he's not training in the gym, he's used to lifting heavy objects like these barrels right here.
And he's been pretty lucky. These barrels have been falling towards the back of the apparatus. That makes his job a little bit easier. But this is where it gets interesting, where things start to load up on him.
You can see changing that breathing pattern a little bit. There's the 6th rep.
Certainly elevated. Oxygen is the fuel to the muscles. Can he get this one?
7th and final rep, and Stolman has to tap out right there after 6. But there's that lighthearted, the fun nature, and the personality of Luke Stolman.
The winner for Group 3 in the squat lift.
So the winner of Group 3 in the squat lift is Great Britain's Graham Hicks, getting 7 reps in 31.43.
31.43 seconds.
So Hicks comes out on top, really proving that height does play a factor. 4-time champ Big Z close behind in second. Brian Benzel of the U.S., the only other athlete to complete all 7 reps, comes in third. And Jenny is with Graham Hicks.
Graham, you were hit by the injury bug pretty bad throughout your career. What has motivated you to come back and be able to compete here at World's Strongest?
It's not really through motivation. It's just through the enjoyment of training. I inspire myself really, because I got told a lot of times I won't compete again. And I've got back training, and it's gone quite well so far. I don't think I've peaked. No one here peaked, and I'm just enjoying myself.
Congratulations on a great win.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
So we have a 4-way tie for first place after 3 events, something we not necessarily would have expected to see. 2 athletes from the United States, Benzel and Oberst, and 2 from Great Britain, Hicks and Stoltman, all locked in at 12 points apiece. Next time on the Tachi Palace World's Strongest Man, Group 3 takes on more of the most mind-blowing challenges this sport has to offer, all culminating with one of the most exciting Atlas Stone showdowns yet. You have to see it to believe it. For Aaron Taylor, Jenny Dell, and our entire CBS crew, I'm Brent Stover. In association with IMG Original Content, this has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Last time on the Tachi Palace World's Strongest Man, Group 3 began their quest to the final, starting off their qualifying round neck and neck. With 3 events under their belts, the athletes of Group 3 have found themselves in a 4-way tie. Graham Hicks and Luke Stoltman of Great Britain, Brian Benzel and Robert Oberst of the United States are all locked in that first place spot, leaving it to be anybody's competition going into the 4th event. Or will the 4-time World's Strongest Man champ Zydrunas Zaviskas of Lithuania prove that he's not to be overlooked? This is one of the closest races we've ever seen before. And with only 3 more events left to decide who secures their spot in the final, who will rise above the rest, we find out right now. Welcome back to the Tachi Palace World's Strongest Man. I'm Brent Stover, joined by Aaron Taylor. We are here in the Philippines, where the 6 athletes of Group 3 are continuing their quest in the qualifiers for a coveted spot in the final.
That's right, Brent. These guys are locked in a 4-way tie in first place after 3 events, and it's really anyone's game now.
It really is, and we head out now to the Quirino Grandstand, where Group 3 takes on their 4th event, a strongman classic, the bus pull.
What's not to like about watching dudes pull a 29,000-pound bus over a 30-meter course? This is going to be a total body effort from top to bottom.
Time limit 60 seconds. The festivities began with Dennis Kohlraas of Germany, and towards the end, Aaron, you're going to see him let go of the rope and keep on going.
Brent, we don't need no stinking rope.
He just pulls with his body weight, completing the course in 42.66. Outstanding effort, if nothing else, for the big German. Robert Oberst of the United States in his 5th World's Strongest Man, getting ready for the bus pull. Let's take a look and learn more about Big OB with his Tachi Palace Power Profile.
Robert Oberst, United States. I have been resting and at home. I took about a year off, had the injury. You know, I thought I was done, but I still had the fire. I wasn't done being competitive, you know. I found myself racing old ladies to the line at the grocery store. It just wasn't gone. I took some time and I came back, and I'm in such a better place now. You know, there's still pressure to do well, but there's a difference between carrying a load on your back and breaking yourself for that load. You can't beat yourself up and bury yourself under the weights and not take care of yourself, and that's what I was doing. I had gone to the top so fast, and it was never good enough. Anytime someone complimented me, I would return with, I should have done better. I never could accept any of the good stuff from what I was doing, and I never took care of myself because of that. You know, it was a tough lesson, but it was valuable, and I think it saved my career rather than took it from me. So I want to enjoy the moment in the moment, and I finally learned how to do that.
Representing the United States.
Oberst has come out strong out of the gate here after that year of rest and recovery. He's up at the top on that leaderboard and has a chance here to pull literally ahead here, Aaron.
Well, OB is 6'7", 376 pounds, and getting this bus past its initial inertia of being at rest certainly helps if you've got a big body, and OB with a very nice start here.
He's only 33, which is pretty young for this sport. Definitely has time ahead of him to improve and stay in the game. Since qualifying for the final, his first World's Strongest Man appearance in 2013, he's had to withdraw in 2 of the last 3 with injury.
I like the nice metered steps that he's taking, those big, powerful arms pulling on the rope. He really seems to be in sync here. Ooh, starting to wobble there towards the end, Brent. Let's go the rope. Now he's on all fours.
What an effort by the American. Robert Oberst crawls across the line, pulling a bus.
OB was just so blown out there at the end, but a time of 39.46.
Robert Oberst.
He's got to feel pretty happy about that. There's no questioning OB's effort. He's willing to do whatever it takes, even crawling on all fours to get that bus across the line.
The native of New Braunfels, Texas. They are going to be proud of him.
Representing Great Britain,
Luke Stolman of Great Britain, the co-leader after 3 events.
Ready!
He's another guy that's part of that 4-way tie entering the event. 39.46 seconds is the time to beat, so keep that in the back of your mind here.
Stoltman looking really good early. I like his physique. He's tight and compact, kind of like a pit bull. Listen to his breathing, Brent. That is a hugely important element of this event.
It's staccato-like, in fact, as he pulls it down the course. Trying to find his rhythm here.
Well, oxygen is the fuel for the muscles, and you see his grip is starting to wane. He's really feeling the immense effort that it takes to pull this bus, but he's going to get it across the line in a time of 41.49.
Not too bad and not far off of that time to beat. So he goes into second.
Luke Stolman.
Right here in the bus pull, Luke Stolman of Great Britain.
You could tell he was kind of getting tired standing up towards the end, but with the lactic acid building up over the 30-meter course, it's not easy to keep those arms and legs going, but that's exactly what Stoltman was able to do.
Manila, the capital city of the Philippines and its center of commerce, arts, and culture for over 4 centuries. In its Intramuros historic district, Fort Santiago, a monument to this great city's legacy. Brent Stover alongside Aaron Taylor at the midway point in this qualifying group, which is a super competitive one. Got a 4-way tie at the top, and that includes, Aaron, a couple of Americans in Brian Benzel and Robert Oberst.
Yeah, Brian Benzel making his 3rd appearance here, clearly on the verge of breaking through to qualify for his first final. For Robert Oberst, this is his 5th trip here, and he's looking to return to the final for the first time since 2013. Benzel was off with a super red-hot start, winning this group's first event, the load and carry. Oberst was right behind him there with a 2nd place finish in that event, followed by a solid showing in the kettlebell toss, in addition to his strong bus pull that we just saw. But they faced some fierce competition. First, there's 2 competitors from Great Britain, in Luke Stoltman and Graham Hicks. Stoltman won the kettlebell toss, and Graham Hicks took the squat lift, making for a logjam at the top of the standings here in Group 3. And just 2 points behind the 4 co-leaders is the 4-time champion Zydrunas Savickas, whose presence still looms pretty large with 3 events remaining.
So we'll see if Big Z, at the age of 42, already one of the best of all time, can add to his phenomenal legacy when we continue with more of the bus pull at the Tachi Palace World's Strongest Man.
The 2018 Tachi Palace World's Strongest Man on CBS Sports is sponsored by Tachi Palace Hotel and Casino in Lemoore, California. And by Rogue, leading provider of American-made strength and conditioning equipment.
We are back in the Philippines. Their capital city of Manila is where our first three athletes of Group 3 have already completed the bus pull. Robert Oberst to the U.S. currently in first. Luke Stoltman of Great Britain close behind him. Three athletes remain. Let's head out to the Quirino Grandstand to see who will come out on top. It's the American Brian Benzel from the heartland, Omaha, Nebraska.
Get set.
Benzel's 31 years old. Had the injury after a really strong start in last year's competition. Looks good here, gets the bus moving right out of the gate, which is certainly an advantage as you head down this 30-meter course.
He works as a project manager for a commercial flooring company back home in Nebraska.
Well, Brent, our lesson in physics continues. F equals ma, force equals the mass times the acceleration. Benzel's 323 pounds, trying to accelerate a 29,000-pound bus, and he's doing good, but getting tired here towards the end.
3 World's Strongest Man appearances, seeking his first trip to the final. A good pull here would go a long way towards that. And he was very good, 41.47 for the American Brian Benzel. And that puts him in second place here in the bus pull.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brian Benzel.
Another impressive event for Brian Benzel. He really gave it all he had with those big, powerful arms and tree trunk legs working in unison. Good enough effort to get him in second place. He's got to be happy with that.
Representing Lithuania.
So 4-time World's Strongest Man champ Zydrunas Savickas of Lithuania in his 14th World's Strongest Man appearance. He's 42 years of age. He's made the final in 11 of his previous 13 appearances.
Big Z could go down as this sport's greatest athlete of all time. Nobody can question what he's capable of, and he's custom built for this event. It's like a tugboat, so powerful and strong in low gear, those arms and legs working in unison perfectly.
It's put up or shut up time for Big Z in 5th place after 3 events. Must come through with a big pull right here. The time to beat is Robert Oberst's 39.46.
You can tell he's feeling strong because his technique hasn't wavered at all. He's getting towards the end, it's getting heavy, but his conditioning is going to hold up, and an impressive time of 37.28.
So he goes into the lead. Zydrunas Savickas, when he had to have it most, the veteran comes through with a huge pull.
Well, this is what he's known for. He told us that he finds events for distance boring, quote unquote, but his explosive power and excellent technique really paid off here. He didn't seem to be bored at all stepping into first.
Representing
so now he's got the time to beat.
Hicks.
And it's up to Graham Hicks, 5'10", 325 from England. And that's Kimberly Hicks, and that's Graham's wife in the crowd cheering him on.
Now, Hicks is at a little bit of a disadvantage here, only being 325 pounds. As you see a slip there, his hands actually fall on the ground. He was leaning too far forward. And watch his feet and arms. He's a little bit staccato and choppy. That's not a good sign early on in an event like this.
Again, the time to beat 37.28 set moments ago by Zydrunas Savickas of Lithuania.
You can see that left foot of his really turned in. And he's starting to wobble a little bit. And his speed and momentum moving forward is starting to steadily die out. He's going to have to dig deep here to get it across, Brent. I don't know if he can do it.
The time limit is 1 minute. Kimberly cheering on her husband here at the end of the bus pull. He's got 6 seconds left to work to try to get it across the line. Down to 2-1, and clearly overly exhausted as Graham Hicks comes up just short of pulling the bus across the line.
Just short is right, Brent. The distance of 29.9 meters on the 30-meter course. Just a great gutsy effort by the Brit, but it was really that dislocation in his technique with the arms and feet stumbling that really was the beginning of the end for Hicks.
The winner of Group
The
3
headliner
in the
here
bus pull,
is Zydrunas Savickas, who wins the group with a time of 37.28 seconds in the bus pull. He had to have it, and he got it. Right behind Big Z is Robert Oberst. He got second. Benzel in third. Stoltman fourth. Let's see who pulled out of that four-way tie for first after 3 events. Robert Oberst of the United States now leads the pack with 17 points. Brian Benzel of the U.S. and Big Z just 1 point behind Oberst. Huge win for Big Z, leaping into second. Luke Stoltman in fourth. Still a very tight race. When we come back to the Tachi Palace World's Strongest Man presented by Rogue, the athletes will take on one of the most grueling challenges, the overhead log press for reps. With the top 4 competitors within only 2 points, it's a fight to the finish to automatically qualify for the final. We are back in Manila, where you can see we've been so graciously taken in by the warm and welcoming people of the Philippines. We head out now to Bonifacio Global City, where the athletes of Group 3 will take on the 5th event, the overhead press. After this event, the top athlete of the group will qualify for the final.
And it's as straightforward of a test of strength there is. A 355-pound log lift, most reps win. Let's take a look.
In case of the log lift, you have 160 kilo on log.
60 seconds isn't quite the longest time. We used to have 75. I think 75 would have probably split us up a lot more.
If you would have taken 4 of our guys and put them in any of the other groups, each one of us would have won the log press for reps.
All world-class log pressers.
Graham Hicks, a phenomenal presser.
He's a world log lift champion. Robert Oberst, he have an American record. I have world record, so we are a really tough group in log lift.
Gonna be a fire show.
Nice and tight, come on!
On a platform, always takes a second, to get the balance.
At this level, it's just kind of a totally different game.
Ah, yes!
I held it there and then my triceps managed to lock it out, so tricep power's there. So 6 reps, yeah, I'm happy.
Dennis Kohlruss.
Dennis, a German guy.
I had in Germany no trainer, no gym, and built the stuff by myself.
And he's not very well known, and I think people are gonna be surprised at how consistently good he's gonna be. You got Graham Hicks, he's the donkey to my Shrek.
I class Graham as one of the top guys in the world.
But the main thing for me is to not get injured. They did 5 in 30 seconds or something.
I was like, what happened?
Robert Oberst, who's a phenomenal log presser. He's very good at repetitions. He's come here with a point to prove, and he's proven that point 100%.
Big Z, he's like an idol for me.
He's the Babe Ruth of strongman.
Big Z is the best presser in the whole history of strongman. You just got to look at the log press record as Z, 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 Z.
Zydrunas Savickas.
Zydrunas, you debuted 20 years ago in 1998. You are now qualified for the final. What does that mean to you?
I'm really happy because I had so many injuries past years, but today I fight like a warrior and I am final.
Zydrunas Savickas comes out on top of the log lift with 8 reps. This group loves a good tie. Graham Hicks, Robert Oberst, Luke Stoltman all tied for second in the event with 6 reps each. That win moves Zydrunas into first place, automatically qualifying him for the final. Just 1 spot remains. Robert Oberst and Luke Stoltman in second and third. They will face off in the Atlas Stones for the remaining spot. Two men, Oberst from the USA and Stolman of Great Britain. An epic battle looms. It's a winner-take-all Atlas Stone showdown when we return to the Tachi Palace World's Strongest Man, presented by Road.
World's Strongest Man on CBS Sports is sponsored by Tachi Palace Hotel and Casino in Lemoore, California.
Welcome back to the Tachi Palace World's Strongest Man, presented by Road. We are here at Bonifacio Global City in the Philippines, where two of our toughest competitors will face off head-to-head for the remaining spot in the final here in the Atlas Stones.
Brent, this is the most iconic event in this sport. The athletes are going to have a minute to raise 5 stones ranging from 330 to 440 pounds on the platform.
Representing the United States, Robert
Oberst, seeking his second World's Strongest Man final.
Representing
He'll be on the left.
Luke Stolman.
Luke Stoltman of Great Britain on the right, seeking his first World's Strongest Man final. The winner of this head-to-head battle gets a spot in the 2018 final.
Brent, this is not only going to be a test of strength, it's going to be a test of focus and determination. Neither of these strongmen can afford to make a mistake, and they are neck and neck to begin.
You're right, they're neck and neck. Headed to this third stone, and this is a dead heat right now, Aaron.
Stoltman was leading OB on that last platform, but OB now gaining steam. He can't afford to make a mistake here as Stoltman grabs his stone.
If Big OB can get it up right here, it's over, and he does! Robert Oberst back into the World's Strongest Man final for the second time in his career.
I love the shirt underneath, strong and pretty. What an emotional win for Big OB, his second appearance in the final.
Fired up to say the least, and with good reason. It has been a long road back for the American, Robert Oberst. Aaron, he has battled all the way back to make the final for the first time in 5 years.
Such an impressive debut as a rookie, then the injury. But battling back, he was flawless, Brent. He maintained his composure and let his strength do the rest. And as a result, you can tell how excited he is. How could he not be?
He's standing by with Jenny.
Robert, you thought you were done in 2016, but now you're going back to the final of World's Strongest Man, a place you haven't been since 2013. What does this mean to you?
It means the world, to come back and fight and take this, it's a nice feeling. I feel good. I haven't had time to really accept it, but I'm gonna go pull the rest of my beard out of my fingers and feel good.
You've had so many ups and downs in your life. What have the last few years taught you?
To appreciate the moment. Even before we got done with the stones, I looked around, took it in. I feel good. I feel like I'm mentally and physically better than I've ever been.
Congratulations. We'll see you in the final.
Thank you.
Zydrunas Savickas and Robert Oberst. For Savickas, his 12th career trip in 14 years to the final. Oberst, his second trip in 5 appearances. 6 spots in the Tachi Palace World's Strongest Man final have been decided. Join us next time, and Group 4 will begin their battle. With their strength being tested both physically and mentally, these strong men will do whatever it takes to get a ticket to the sport's biggest stage. Who will earn those next 2 spots? Find out next time on the Tachi Palace World's Strongest Man. For Aaron Taylor, Jenny Dell, and our entire CBS crew, I'm Brent Stover. In association with IMG Original Content, this has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports.